Have you ever been asked to lead a project, but nobody actually reports into you? You've got deliverables, you've got stakeholders to manage, but no actual authority.
I once had to coordinate a cross-functional team. None of them reported to me. And, one of them even outranked me. I spent the first week thinking, how on earth am I supposed to get them to do anything and move the dial on this project?
Exactly. And that is today's topic of the leadership effect. So, in this today's environment, it's actually quite common that there's a lot of project work going on, or that you have to lead teams and projects where you have no authority, especially obviously as the hierarchy is getting much flatter nowadays. It's difficult to get to the point to get people on board. So you have to find other tools and mechanisms to get people what you want them to do.
It sure is. I mean, leading without authority, it's about influence, not power, right? So It's kind of, you can't always lean on, because I'm your boss, you do this. You have to kind of earn that commitment.
Yeah, it is all about trust. It's about influencing people. And essentially, it's also about understanding different styles and how you can make them work for you.
Yeah. And, I think of this project manager that we once coached, and he kind of told us, I don't manage anyone, but I still feel responsible for the results. And that's the reality for so many roles now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's often quite difficult because it's not about being your boss. It's about using the right tools and mechanism. It's also, where do you start basically with trust, right? Is it trust and credibility? Is it vulnerability-based trust? There's so many different levers, and people get quite quickly confused. So, but trust is basically the basis of everything. So you need to start with that, because otherwise no one will follow you.
That's true. And I mean, trust is built in small moments, right? It's just not one big gesture. And there's something called the trust triangle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's about authenticity, it's about logic, and it's about empathy. So people want to know, are you real? Does what you say make sense? And do you care about me? That is so important. People want to feel seen, right?
Yeah. They want to not be seen, but they also want to be valued, right?
Absolutely. And trust grow when you consistently do what you promise, which is that reliability trust that you mentioned, right? And when you share not just good news, but also risk, when you show up with empathy, that's really important to again, be authentic, especially in tough conversations.
Yeah, exactly. People want to be treated as adults, right? And that is where we at the end of the day. So I had once a client, and he actually was asked to lead a project that gone over different regions. And he actually built credibility by not saying, you know what, I'm the expert here. It's more about actually listening. It's more about making the time for people to understand what is their different styles. And it's about giving that space and also handing your hand and say, you know what, I'm not the expert here. I will need your help. And that is the way where you build trust.
Yeah. I had kind of a similar moment. It's a couple of years ago, and I promised a really quick turnaround on a strategic project, like an SWP project. And
SWP, 1 second.
Strategic workforce planning.
No one knows what that is.
No jargon, no flush. Strategic workforce planning. And I mean, it wasn't glamorous at all. It was quite a late night doing a lot of data crunching. But by delivering exactly what I said I would deliver, suddenly people were more willing to listen to me, right? And that consistency just matters more than the title.
Yeah. And I think it's also important to mention, when you lead without having the formal authority, one of the things is also the purpose that is really important. Why do you need people to do something connected to their person? If you just tend to say oh, I need you to do this, how likely are you doing it? Sorry, why would I help her? My desk is full. Why do I have to do it, right? So you want to make sure that you connect it to what is important. Why are we doing it?
Oh, exactly. I mean, people don't get fired up by, we need this by Friday, right? Like, again, it's like they're going to lean in when you tell them, why is this important? And I worked on this project where the what was kind of integrating different systems. Pretty dry, not very sexy, people kind of escape the room when they hear it. But when we reframed it as removing barriers that frustrated employees, that kind of shifted the energy in the room. The same task, exactly the same task, but it was just positioned in a very different way.
Yeah. And then kind of like people are getting more fired up. They're more interested in it. I think it was Simon Sinek who said, and I think our audience probably all have heard about this, is kind of like start with the why, because that is then really important. So you start with the why, then the what, and then the how. And that is where people are getting more interested. It's, as you say, it's the same thing, but it's these little switch is different. And it's also important that you make it a compelling why, right? It's not just a slogan, but it's really where there is something bigger. It's the values, it's a purpose, it's where the real impact is for the person that you're trying to convince to do something without you. And people are really motivated when they see what impact their work actually has on the wider, bigger picture.
And that turns kind of that into commitment.
Yeah.
Like they want to do something, they want to contribute.
Yeah.
But there's also kind of something called influencing effectively.
Oh, yes.
So that's where you kind of adapt to the people, because not everyone is motivated by the same things or wants to be communicated to in the same way, right? And we're going to talk about that in a different episode, but about different generations and different cultures and
different
so on.
Styles even, right? Like I once basically worked with someone together that was very data driven. And obviously, you know me, I'm not very analytical. Well, I do like data, but it's not my first go-to thing. So I was giving them all kind of like the reasons. And he said like, yeah, but show me the data. He wanted to know what he's doing, what the data is, what is behind it. So I brought him a big kind of like chart and a little, quite a big Excel sheet. And suddenly we had very different conversations and he was much more engaged because that's what he needed to make decisions, to get involved, to get excited about something. So that is when you bring people on board, when you adapt your style to what they want.
Yeah. And I mean, he wanted data, right? Other people might want emotions, right?
Yeah,
because that's
more important for me, for example.
Exactly.
And I think it's important to acknowledge if you don't have the formal authority, that's almost your only leverage to get people to do something that they might even not want to do or might not be excited about.
Exactly. And one thing is kind of flexing your style in terms of communication, but you kind of need to make sure that they get the message in the first place, right?
Yes.
And I had a young graduate once, and he kind of ignored emails, or at least long emails, right? So, but if I texted him on WhatsApp, or even if I sent him a team message, like he would answer immediately. And I just stopped fighting it.
Yeah.
So instead of sending these long emails, I dropped him some quick lines over WhatsApp, and suddenly collaboration kind of flourished. It's not about, it's difficult to change people, right? It's more about flexing to how they prefer to work, if possible.
Yeah. And that is what I mean. That is really the point, kind of like you flex your style to what is needed. And obviously it's always hard to kind of like understand what is people's different styles. As you said, some people like emotions, some people like data, some people like the collaboration and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But this is actually where a really good tool comes in called the communication style or adaptive communication style.
Yes, and we've kind of mentioned some of these, but there's 4 different styles that we talk about. So one is kind of drivers, analytics, amiables, and expressives.
Yeah.
So drivers want speed.
Yeah, they want sport. They want fast pace. They want to get it done. They want to get it done. I'm one of them.
Yes, you like clarity in action, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Analytics, they kind of want more detail, data, time to think and reflect.
Yeah.
I can be there at times.
You're much better at it as
but I'm also kind of a driver.
Yeah.
And then Amiables, they want connection and consensus and harmony, right? So it's very much about other people.
It's about collaboration, consensus, getting you on board, taking in their values as well. For them, if you don't give them the values or make the connection to the values, you won't get them on board. And it's going to be really hard to get them on board, because at the end of the day, like, that is what they care about.
Yeah. And then we have expressives. Yeah. And I can definitely be there at times, because I want vision, I want big ideas, I want energy. I want to know where are we going? I don't like, I'd never watch a movie without reading the cover.
It's about the excitement.
I need to know what it's about.
It's about fun, right?
Yeah.
It's about having the big innovative ideas. So I'm a little bit in the mix of this. So a bit of red and yellow.
But I mean, as the audience can probably hear, like, it's not like we have one style and then none of the others. It's kind of a mix of it. You might prefer one, but we've
got all styles in ourselves, and that is really important. There's no style better or worse than the others. All have their downfalls and also their benefits, right?
Absolutely.
It's not about one thing is better than the other. So that is really, really important. And I'm be very careful about putting people into boxes as well. It doesn't mean that they can't flex their style. It's just something that is a natural go-to. It's kind of like writing with your right hand. You always do it with one hand, but if you break your hand, you still be able to use your left hand. It's just a little bit slower, a little bit awkward at times, but you can still do it.
Absolutely.
And that's the same thing. When you're trying to adapt to a different style and it feels a little bit awkward, do it more often, because you will get better at it.
Yes. Yes. But I think, in the end, leading without authority means that you just don't have that hierarchy that you can rely on. So it's just even more important to adapt your style to the person that you're talking to. And it doesn't mean being fake. It means being effective.
Yeah. And I think this is a thing. Often we think like, oh, leading with authority, I don't have the power, I don't know what I'm doing, it's really soft, I don't want to do it. But actually, it's tough, right? You are constantly balancing of like, how do I earn trust? How do I make the purpose clear? How can I flex my style? And how do I not lose my own authenticity? And that, I think, is quite hard to balance at times.
Especially if you need to communicate or convince people that are very different to you, right? But it's kind of just like developing that toolkit. And the message don't change. It's kind of how you tailor it, how you package it, and how you deliver it that changes. But you just want it to land with the person in front of you, right? That's kind of the key. Yeah,
and I think at the heart of it, there is there's one message, and I think someone I coach summed it up really nicely. And he said to me a quote. It says like, authority gets you compliance, but trust and purpose gets you the fellowship. And that's what it's all about, right? You want people to follow you in those moments. And that is in the essence of it, what leadership is about. Leadership is not about reporting line.
No, I love that. So should we give the listeners a challenge? A challenge,
yeah, of course.
So your challenge for the week, think of one situation where you don't have formal authority. Maybe it's a project team, maybe it's a client group, maybe it's some of your peers.
Yeah.
And ask yourself, have I earned trust here? Have I connected it to purpose? Am I flexing my style to theirs, not just my own?
Yeah. And then just test one of those behaviors, right? And it doesn't have to be something big. It can be something small.
Yeah.
But deliver on one promise. So when you say you deliver this, do it as well. Reframe one task with a clear why. So really make sure that is connected as well to the values and to the bigger picture. Or adapt one message to a different style that is your usual go-to style.
And notice what changes. Yeah. It might not be, a big change overnight. It might not be instant, but slowly by slowly, step by step, people will start to follow you.
Yeah.
They would choose to follow you.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. It's always a choice, right? Leadership is a choice. Because at the end of the day, leadership isn't about a title, like being a manager. It's about impact. And you can have that impact whether or not you are leading with or without authority.
And that's it for today's episode of The Leadership Effect. Subscribe, follow us, connect with us on LinkedIn. You'll find the details in the show notes. And until then,
lead with curiosity and
courage.